Yes, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Warzone Jones coming right back at you, pro wrestling related topic video. And I want to talk about Chris Benoit, more and particularly the tragedy that is, surrounding Chris Benoit's death, man. Like Chris Benoit is a guy who I haven't really talked about all too much on my channel. I will probably mention him like here and there, but I rarely talk about Chris Benoit. Now, I remember I was getting ready to watch Monday Night Raw with my friend. Me and my friends, we like to watch wrestling. So, as I was getting ready to watch wrestling, expecting a show, um, I was expecting them to follow up on the storyline of Vince McMahon, dying. Someone had apparently blew up his limousine, and apparently he died in it. And I was expecting to see the follow up of that. And what do I see? I see Chris Benoit's face, and it said that he passed away. So when I saw that, my jaw dropped. I was shocked. I probably never been probably like shocked like that like ever in my life, because it's not like that I never heard about another wrestler like dying before, but it was something about this one that really just shocked the hell out of me. Like can you imagine, like you're getting ready to like sit back in a chair and you're getting ready to watch like your favorite TV show, and then all of a sudden you hear that your favorite actor on the show had died. So Chris Benoit, when I saw that, yeah, I was real shocked, me and my friend. So you see Vince McMahon, and you clearly see that he's not dead. You see Vince McMahon, and he's talking about how that Chris Benoit had passed away, and that they was getting ready to honor Chris Benoit with a tribute show. They gave him a tribute show. I believe it was probably 3 hours if I'm not mistaken. So they canceled the whole show, and they gave Chris Benoit a tribute show of basically his matches. Some of his WCW matches, some of his matches in Japan as the Pegasus Kid. I think they showed some of his ECW matches, but basically his matches. Now they gave him a tribute show because they didn't know the whole tragedy. They didn't know exactly how Chris Benoit had died. They just knew that he died. So I also didn't know, definitely also as well, until the next day, where we found out that Chris Benoit killed himself, and he killed his wife and his son. So when I found that out, again, shocked. I'm even more shocked, because that was the last thing that I would have expected, that Chris Benoit would kill himself and also his family as well. And then I was hearing things like roid rage, because they say they found a bunch of steroids in his house. So they was talking about it was roid rage. But then we found out sometime later that it was that Chris Benoit had the mindset, like the brain of a 90-something-year-old man, like a man in his 90s or 80s, either one. So that's like a senior citizen age. That's very old. So what the hell is a man who is in his, I would think like his 40s, at this point Chris Benoit is like a 40-something-year-old man, probably like early 40s or mid 40s. He's in his 40s. How the hell does he have the brain of a 90-something-year-old man? Like I don't know. Like I don't know too much about that. I really don't. Like I don't know how that happens. People talk about, well, it was like the chair shots. He took a bunch of like chair shots to the head. Because I know Chris Benoit used to do like the headbutts, or like things like concussions and things like that. It's probably the reason why his brain was in that state. So I remember like Vince McMahon did an interview where they was talking to him about that, and he said there was no way basically that could be true, because there's no way he could do what he did for a living, which is wrestling, if he had that type of condition. If he had that type of brain condition, how could he wrestle? And when I think about that also as well, how the hell can you really wrestle with that type of condition? If that's an F up condition for a 40-something-year-old man to have, then yeah, how could you have that type of like brain? Again, like I don't know, I'm not a scientist, so hey, you're gonna have to ask someone else. But Vince McMahon also, like I said, like on Tuesday night, this is when they had ECW on Tuesday. They had that dreadful, terrible ECW. Vince McMahon comes out and he says there will be no more mention of Chris Benoit's name, and they lived up to that until this day. They don't mention Chris Benoit's name like that. I think if a wrestler was to mention Chris Benoit's name, you will probably be fired immediately. So they erased them. They erased it, Chris Benoit. You can see Chris Benoit more nowadays. For example, on the WWE Network. When I found out about that, I was kind of shocked about it, like to hear that they put him on the WWE Network, but it's probably because they are now more comfortable with the death of Chris Benoit because, well, you know, when time like goes by, you know, time heals things. So that's probably what that is. But I was very, 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 very shocked to hear about the death of Chris Benoit and how it happened. So, you know, I just wanted to like share my thoughts with y'all about that. I'll do another video on Chris Benoit, more of like me like talking about like my memories of his career. This is more of like his basically like his death. So he died in 2007, man. At that time I was like 18 or 19 years old. So Chris Benoit, man, like damn. A lot of people wonder, should he go in the Hall of Fame? And I would say probably not, for obvious reasons. Like, let's be honest here. And you know, his death was a huge topic outside of wrestling also as well. The media blew it up. And you know, Chris Benoit isn't like this big huge wrestling star outside of wrestling or anything like that. Like he's not like the biggest name ever in the history of the business. But they blew up that situation, like they blew up that whole story that he was literally the most talked about wrestler in the world, and he was dead. Period. So hey, but that's all I really want to talk about. We need to talk about any more than what I had talked about. This is Warzone Jones. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. When I'm out, deuce.